Hey there.
Hello, hello. Hi, welcome, welcome.
Feedback
How
loop. What a
are
good
we
idea.
all? Yeah, you got your background.
I'm sure I have one somewhere.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh,
hi, doing.
Hello.
hello.
Good to see everyone.
Yeah, you too. Uh, we've all got a coffee and our wine. Are we all awake and filled up?
No wine, but I have a dog. Does that count?
If it does.
I have water and my PJs are
Yeah.
waiting for me.
Yay. Uh, yeah, these time zones are funny things. I'm like, yep.
Aren't they? Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, her niece will be just that's her your morning, isn't it? Her niece a few hours behind me there. Yeah.
Hi, yes. It's 8 a.m. here right now.
Yeah.
And it's
Cracking on.
7 p.m.
Yeah.
in Chicago. So, but
Mm,
you're a day ahead of us then. You're already into Friday, right?
yeah. She's
Yeah.
in the next morning already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it
Cool.
in Chicago now?
Pardon?
What time?
7 p.m. 7
7.
p.m. on Thursday.
Nice. 7.
Uh, hope you guys have all got some questions for her niece lined up. I'm hoping it will be really interesting. I know I've got a pile of questions because there's a lot about the subject matter. I must admit, I'm no expert in this space, so it's been really interesting just personally, like talking to her niece, and we've already learned a lot from her in our conversations. So it's really exciting to bring this to you guys today. Pick her brains and hear all about her work and what she's doing, and get a little bit more on the geeky side of things because we spend so much time in the art side. It's like let's all understand what I call this geeky side of things and yeah, here we are. Do you want to maybe I'll bring up my notes and start introducing her niece and what she does. So she is the founder of Reinvent DAO. I'll let her explain what that is because I keep going, what's a DAO? Why has everyone got DAO in their name? And like a total noobs as she explains what the meaning of that is, what it means, what the company does. And it's better coming from her so that I don't mess that up. But she's in Hong Kong, right in the middle of all the tech space and so it's great to have someone from more from our corner of the world and representing that market. Yeah, she's into blockchain, Web3, has a really deep history of a varied career, haven't you? You've kind of moved into this from very different experience. So we can hear more about your career and your journey, and all about the business and what you do. And I don't want to put words in your mouth because it is like I say, some of it's more technical and better coming from you, so that we're explaining it all clearly and what you do. And we've got a bunch of questions lined up for her. Um, we had a whole bunch of people that I'm trying to admit everyone as they're coming in because we had over 70 people said that they were interested in this workshop, and so we hope that many of them can join us. I know time zones, not everyone can come live, but we're hoping most people will be able to make it live. So everyone's sort of joining us now. Um, Seeing a few awesome faces coming in. I'm just keeping an eye on it, letting everyone in. I don't know why I have a waiting room. I try and just say let everyone in the meeting, and it is being recorded. So this meeting if you're comfortable on camera, but if you're not, that's totally cool. You can sit there in your PJs with your tea or your coffee, your doggy, your cuddly, your wine. We don't mind. We're really friendly. This will be recorded, so it will be shared in our community later to follow up. So don't freak out that you'll miss anything or forget or you want to watch it again to absorb all the good stuff. It's fine. We'll keep the chat alive. That's where we're going to post questions and any links and information as we go. Um, yeah, so I might, one of I might hand it over to her niece. Kick it off, introduce yourself. I'll just keep letting people in as they arrive, her niece, and go for it. And whenever you're ready, you can share screen, dive in. Yeah, I think you're starting with yourself. Introduce yourself and your company, what you do, and go from there.
Cool. Thank you for this, Menda. Hi, everyone. My name is Hanis, as Amanda actually introduced myself. So I'm actually, well, I had a little bit about background about myself. So I'm Aussie Malaysian. I was born in Malaysia, and then I grew up in Sydney, Australia. And after, I guess, decided that one day I wanted to venture back in Asia, going back to my roots, I got a job in Hong Kong because I was a banker. I studied computer engineering, and while I was in university, I realized that, hey, you know what? I love the part of solving problems, but I don't like coding. I didn't like coding. So I think it was a blessing in disguise that I figured that out when I was like in my early 20s. And from there, we actually started. I started actually went to management consulting, did the typical, corporate life, worked for consulting firms like Accenture, and worked in financial services for the bank. And as we were building at that time, this was probably 10 years ago, the whole connotation about digital banking just came about. So at that time, I was at Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and I was understanding more about how do we actually build a product from a customer standpoint rather than looking at just from a business, from a product centric standpoint. So as we go along with that, customer centric became a thing, moved to Hong Kong. And yeah, but being in Hong Kong, something came along the mind where I was holding a global role. I was actually building I was at HSBC, and that requires me to actually understand a lot more about the legacy bank system, like how a bank is 150 years old, and as well as looking at new technology. So, and how do we also build a product for a customer like us can use our mobile phone and using things like, mobile banking app. So as it goes along, then COVID hits. 2020, like all of us know, COVID hits, and I had a chance to move to New York, but that didn't happen. So rather than, looking elsewhere, I was stuck in my small apartment, Kennedy Town, in Hong Kong. So I started actually decided to give back even remotely. So I started mentoring. I joined incubator. I mentor startups in the DeFi space. DeFi means decentralized finance. So this is where I start to get myself really, really dirty. My hands really dirty with blockchain, because a lot of the startups, they were building the model based on like decentralized blockchain from supply chain. How do I build end-to-end automated supply chain by using blockchain, by not depending on intermediary? That's one example. And they use tokens. So all of these are actually something that has come along. So as we get along into that, as we better go along into that, I decided that when the world starts to open up in 2022, I quit my corporate job. And that was nervous because I didn't know where I was going, but I do know one thing. Web3 is the world that I'm going to build something, and I don't know what. So I traveled to all the Web3 conferences, which was in Paris, which was in Dubai, and because we didn't travel for the past 3 years, just to immerse myself and understand about this culture, this community. Even during the NFT summer, is what they call it, in 2021, I was actively trading, buying NFT. I don't know, have any one of you heard things like the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs? Raise hands if you have heard it. It's like there you go, Glenn, you've heard it. So it's like a collection of NFTs where each of them, they call it profile picture. The profile picture means you can use this character as your avatar, because when Facebook changed their name to Meta, there was a hype, if you guys remember, about metaverse, right? Everyone was buying something in the metaverse, like a plot of land, even having an avatar. So this avatar actually represents you as a person in the metaverse, like Roblox, for instance, all this gaming, and it became such a hit thing. So, like, when we are in the early internet bubble, everything starts from hype and then we try to understand whether can this hype actually sustain, and how can it sustain or not. But that's been the story of how I immersed myself in this technology. And also, like in 2023 was when I founded Reinvent DAO. So a little bit to explain what we do at Reinvent DAO. Reinvent DAO is we're building actually on-chain IP. You might ask me, what is on-chain? So you would hear this a lot of questions, a lot of this word on LinkedIn or even on Twitter or X. On-chain here means you are putting a specific asset. It could be intangible assets or it could be tangible assets onto the blockchain. So we can talk about it, and Amanda, we can talk about it as well in terms of understanding what does blockchain means and everything. So we are actually ensuring the likes of work or AI created work or even like images to be able to tokenize, meaning to put it on a blockchain. We help the likes of creators to be able to open up the potential and the possibility for creators to start monetize. When I say monetize is you must understand first, when it comes to IP in today's world is you register the IP and you also commercialize it via licensing. This is how in a lawyer, in a legal traditional way, we've done it. However, with blockchain, everything is automated. Like if I transfer my asset to Amanda, for instance, immediately Amanda can receive this. She will receive a digital representation of what the value of this asset will be. So in this case, it would be an image. In case it would be like an NFT collection. So there's so many things to talk about here. And what we do here is that we also building like a risk mitigation pool to actually understand what is the potential of the price range of these assets that can actually be valued, and the risk mitigation and the risk management that are actually asserted on these type of IP assets. So in a way, it's much more like if you think about, for instance, in a bank, right? All of us actually apply for loans. We need to get a credit scoring. We need to create credit rating. And with this credit rating, it tells you whether this person can get a loan at how much in today's world. So in this online world, the similar concept of financial happen as well. So we are also building that so that it is not just about valuing the credit scoring on the person, it's actually valuing the credit scoring on the assets itself. So a lot of things we can talk about that, but this is essentially what we do. We allow the likes of creators to put in your assets, monetize it, and allow it to be licensed it by people who demand for these type of assets. So there you go. That's about me. So over to you, Amanda. How do we want to do this?
Have you got something you'd like to share, or are we going to do Q&A?
Right. Okay. I have some. Just give me a
If you've
second.
got anything to show us that would help kind of bring your work to life. I find I've got lots of questions and the audience might have questions, but if there's anything that yeah, for
So
privacy
maybe
reasons, you could show
how,
us
how many minutes do we have here?
50 more minutes,
Okay.
technically.
So can everyone here show a hand who actually understands what is blockchain or maybe what is NFT?
Or just to push the react button, hands up if or thumbs up if you like. You guys are cool. If you're off camera, just go, yep. Party, thumbs up, yep. Jessica, no, yes. Dawn got a few yeses. Glenn's obviously, yep. Right in there,
Okay.
mixed bag. Yeah, yeah, a few really good understanding there. So that's cool.
There's three. All right, there's about 3 to 4. Okay, there's a few misunderstanding here. That's good. Okay. And who actually are curious to try to put their work, which is your artwork, onto a blockchain? Or who has tried? Maybe
No,
the first person who has tried.
no. Has anyone tried, Glenn? I think that'd be cool to explore, like how artists could do that. Yeah.
None. Okay. So, and all right. So maybe let me actually share something first because I think the basic here is that we probably to explain what is NFT, and how does it work. So before we go into there, again, show of hands if any one of you understands as well what is Web3. Okay, so maybe we go back to the basic here. All right. Um, all right. So the next 15 minutes, I think I'm going to just explain a little bit about what is the background about this Web3. You may have heard this a lot, and I think it's important to have this in mind about how this is actually evolving into the next internet evolution. So one of the things that I wanted to say is, we live in the days where there's Web 1, Web 2, and you would hear this. Let me just see how I can. Well, you can see it here anyways. Okay. Trust trying and how do I can enhance this? What's okay.
You might have to go
How,
slideshow, drop down and presenter. What something?
there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. So what is Web 1 and what is Web 2? Okay. Web 1 here, maybe it's more than 20, 30 years ago, where remember we had a like um, blue screen internet, blue screen computer that Microsoft has actually built, where everything is just about you can read, but you don't really you're unable to actually it represents just a digital representation of it. So probably 30 years ago, maybe in the 80s, 90s, much more 90s, I remember. So Web 2 has evolved in what they call it the dot-com bubble. This is where the read and write comes in. So for instance, it provides function like accessibility, easy to use like privacy, security, you can store it in a database, and there's a cloud technology. Hence, it evolved a new technology or companies like Facebook, Google, and even like Amazon, for instance. So they're monetizing the user's data. And as you may have remembered, the past couple of years, maybe more than 10 years ago, the whole GDPR started coming in, like data privacy, right? Hey, why are we sharing our data to them? And as this whole thing evolved from a technology perspective, that is why monetization of this goes into data intelligence, like advertising. I know, like for instance, I know Hanis, I know what Hanis wants, so I'm going to cross-sell to her so many of these products. So that is the kind of Web 2 model, read and write. Web 3 is what they call it, read, write, and own. There's a special thing about ownership. So here it means it embeds everything that you've seen from an application perspective, it embeds with blockchain. Blockchain here represents as a technology that allows you to exchange automatically between a receiver and a sender, the sender and receiver, and at the same time, the ability to own to have a tokenized digital assets. So here you would hear the word tokens, you would hear the word blockchain is just the enabling of technology. And shortly, I will just kind of explain briefly what blockchain is about. And as I evolve here is that when you own, it means we go into a world where you are the user, you are also the investor, and you are also the owner if you hold the token. So what it means here is that I have a token under our company here, say Rave is our token that we haven't launched yet. And in this Rave token, it gives me entitlement for me to actually have access to the platform, have access to even getting paid in this token, which has financial element in it because we do actually allow some, we have a liquidity pool, we allow some transactions to happen, and at the same time, it's like a stock. It's like a stock market. That's how you may see what crypto is about. It is a way as a medium of exchange for people to use the token on different angles. NFT, non-fungible token, is also a type of token but it's different. So maybe on these slides, I'm going to just quickly talk about the different types of tokens. And this is where the ownership comes in. For me, I'm very excited because we're moving towards a world where, hey, I'm going to own my own data and I can also know what kind of information I can release to people. Now with AI coming in, AI and blockchain are like couples that can't be divorced. Let me tell you that. So, and now you've heard this a lot of conversations that people are talking about how blockchain as well as AI are actually evolving into allowing transactions to happen in a autonomous and automated basis. So, yeah, so I'm not going to talk too much about this, but hey, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm just going to pause. If you have any question here, I'm going to pause here first before I move to the next one.
It's cool. We had one in the chat from Conan. If you want to read, does the token representation of value apply to the crypto exchange and cryptocurrencies as well?
Crypto exchange is like any stock exchange. They just act as a centralized body to be able to list the tokens there, and you can log in. So it's like an exchange, like a marketplace in the same time as well, where they are licensed. They allow the likes of users to log in. You can trade stocks, on brokerage, and even at the same time, you can buy it and you can actually sell it. So it's a two-way thing, a seller and a buyer.
Hmm. Glenn's got a hand up. Go ahead, Glenn.
Hey, thank you. This is great. The question I have, and I'm sure you'll be able to educate me on this, is when NFTs and web3 was all the rage, there was 1,000 podcasts talking about it 24/7. Not for a second did I think that the Bored Apes was going to survive. I thought everyone was a fool buying those things because I thought, first of all, I thought it was terrible art, and they were almost the same. There were slight changes, and then the whole thing blew up and it just tanked. And people must have lost tens of millions of dollars. And then all the podcasts shut down. NFTs went quiet as a word, at least in my little bubble. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm just telling you, from my experience. Has it resurfaced? I mean, your enthusiasm is infectious, but has it resurfaced? Because I haven't really heard that word in quite a while. Because the value of NFTs just kind of disappeared for a bit. And I wonder if it's kind of coming back in your mind with AI. This was kind of before AI, was really so now AI has turned everything in the world. I don't mean AI art, I mean AI has changed the planet basically and will continue to do so at light speed. So I'm just wondering, are you jumping back into this fast-moving train?
Yep. Very good question that you asked, Glenn. So before I answer that, I wanted to actually show this. This is actually what I was talking about, the dot-com bubble, right? From Web 1 until Web 2. And this is Web 1 and Web 2 only. As you can see here, this is the innovation cycle. People go up, Amazon, Netflix, Google started, and then it went dot-com crash. And because, technology went up as well, Atlassian, which is, an Aussie company, Facebook, cloud technology that I mentioned before started in Web 2. This is where the dot-com bubble happened. iPhone started to be created. GFC happened, crash again. Then a new model of sharing economy happened, Airbnb, Deliveroo, Uber. So this is an innovation cycle trend that you may have seen. And further along the line now, like you said, I agree with you on that. One thing about what this whole Bored Apes, World of Women, etc. has actually created, it is actually introducing a new culture generation for different types of younger people or even people who are curious. Because to be honest, I admit it, I actually purchased it when it first started because I'm always a curious person. Even while I was working in a bank, I was like, okay, what is this about? I want to check it out. So I bought it, didn't know what it was, following the hype at that time, I think, but I was looking at it and understanding, okay, there's probably potential. But lucky for me, I managed to actually sold it at a very, very profitable amount. So I'm no longer a Bored Apes member. Because what it does with this NFT, it gives you like I said, access to the community. And the community is actually how you want to create a community of In these days we have cooperations, right? We have organizations like in Hong Kong, we have a lot of chambers of commerce, Australia Chambers of Commerce, American Chambers of Commerce, and these are organizations much more focused on professionals. So even like in this case for the Bored Apes, they built a community, and I think I agree, they overhyped the price. It was not it's about supply and demand. So it goes back to all these tokens. It goes back to economy 101. How much supply you have and what is demand? The demand here at the time is greater than the supply. That is why the price actually went really up. But as the utility and as the function of these NFTs goes down, because people will keep asking, okay, I bought your NFT. What kind of access can I get to? Is it just to be part of this community, or do I get any other privilege? So as you may see, Bored Apes is not just the only one. Artists, even like I think the DJ, what's his name? Steve Aoki, he even created his own NFT. His NFT, I remember when he started doing those crave, they have different tier membership. So if you bought a say top tier, like a premium tier, it gives you access maybe a one-on-one with him or a VIP stage seat in one of his concert. I don't know. That's something that most of the celebrities and artists were experimenting. But I would agree it didn't work out because there's two things I feel. When there's too much of a hype and there's no utility that is persevere underneath it, it wouldn't be sustainable. And that was why as well, I went to travel and understand these different um, conferences, because as a banker, I know what works and I know what also didn't work, but I'm also curious to understand what is it that has worked in this technology, what has not. So the question as well, Glenn, you asked me, is it going to be something that's coming back up? Well, right now, NFT is a market cap, but it's about 4 billion. There are a couple of blue chip NFTs like Pudgy Penguin and all those things. Like I am out of that already. I'm no longer into all this NFT blue chips because yeah, it's just not, it doesn't suit with me. But I do know there's a huge community within the crypto space or within the younger generation space who are buying it. And every time I go to different conferences, there's a huge events being held, and the community will wear all the merch. The community would say, all right, I have this design of Pudgy Penguin, however it looks like. And this person say, okay, I have this design, and they make something out of it. So the way how to use it is that they monetize that as a brand, and that is creating a brand economy where you can say partner with a certain manufacturer. You can say make your avatar here as a brand. You can open up a restaurant. You can even open up, let's say, I think Bored Apes, some of the NFT holders partner with big brands like Gucci, even like Adidas. So it gives them some commercial aspect in there, because Bored Apes, what's special about it at that time, it allows you, as you buy it, to also have rights to use and rights to commercialize. Rights to commercialize means you can use this is yours. Like I said, you are the owner, and you can also use that to monetize it. So as Bored Apes, they get a certain royalty cut. And as you say, partner with probably Gucci or probably Adidas or even M&Ms they have at one point, those are being used as a way for them to monetize it in royalties. So what will happen in today's world with AI, like I said, it's a new thing because there's this thing called real world asset. So now NFTs are enabling it as a real world asset, digital representation. Why do you have seen now banks, institutional, are actually coming into this? Bitcoin is not an NFT, but I'm talking about, let's say, if you want to tokenize a bond, if you want to tokenize bond, in financial products, all those things are actually being used as an NFT. They don't sell it as an NFT, but the technology enabling it is NFT. And with AI, amalgamate AI and blockchain together. So it gives an ownership to, for instance, an AI agent. So has anyone here heard of AI agent? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So because AI agent also act autonomously, right? Like if you create an AI agent, say, to manage your social media, and they are not just bots anymore. They are able to make decision and make reasoning based on the goals that you ask them to do. So that's why some of these AI agents own a wallet. And the wallet in there, it allows people to pay, or even another AI agent to interact with this AI agent to pay them. There's already a use case for this now. So NFTs are used in the I would say the adoption of NFTs are going to be seen a lot more from there. The creative NFTs, which was what you mentioned about before, Glenn, all these collections, all these arts, even like fine arts, it will be there, but market in arts, today's world, physical arts are going down as well. It's not a good market now for physical arts. So until, I guess, in my opinion, until the physical art has also start to go back up, and maybe the digital art space will start to see the traction there as well. This is just my opinion. Yes. And
Yeah, cool. We'll got a couple of questions. We'll go if you've done Dawn, Christy, we've got Diana and then Glenn. If you guys
Do you
want
want
to
me
ask
to, do you want
questions,
me to
if you
tell her my question, or
which one? Let me, I can't, oh, is it in the chat room?
is it
Is it in
I
the
I
one
could read it if that's easier for you.
if
I
that's the
mean, I
one
could
in the
just
chat,
say
just
it.
make sure we covered that off for you, Dawn. Yeah.
Sure.
Can you read that for me? Because
Sure.
I
How is the value maintained or lost? In other words, you put something in and it's at X value, and then how is it maintained? And do economic trends outside of the blockchain impact that price?
Okay, very good question. So when you launch a token, like even when you print money, you have an issuer, right? Countries who issue the money, and you also have the buyer. But in the case of now in dollar, for instance, you have banks, you have central banks that helps to regulate it. You also have a reserve pool that you peg it against, like digital gold, for instance. And I'm sure you read that recently, Trump wants to peg US dollar against not peg, sorry, a strategic reserve for Bitcoin. So that is, a different types of assets are included besides gold as well. So similar to tokens, when you want to launch a token, whether it's NFT or whether it's fungible token, I'm going to see whether, yeah, I have this a little bit. So these type of tokens are very different. And these tokens, you need to know, for instance, what is the supply? It goes back to basic economy, supply and demand. Supply here says, okay, I'm going to give maybe 1 billion of supply of tokens that I want to issue. But you can't just issue it everywhere. You have to go to a platform. You have to have a smart contract, because the blockchain here will create the smart contract to enable it. Smart contract is automated, is immutable. What it means here is that when you create a token, this smart contract will say, create for me 1 billion of token, and this is the behavior and the rules, what this token can do automatically. So when it's launched, when it's automated and is built, is in production, this token will act as that. Then you want to list it, like going to a stock market, stock exchange. You list it on an exchange like Coinbase, like Binance. I'm giving one example. These are centralized exchange. And also for the users like us, how do we want to do this? How we have a wallet. We also have a digital wallet here. That's like I mentioned just now, AI agent now gets paid as well, because they have a digital wallet that they own. You can pay them and they can pay you as well if you provide a service to them. So the economic value, how that can actually affect is based on supply and demand. The more demand it has, the more high value it will have. But if there's less demand, because there's not enough marketing has been done, people don't know who you are, no one's actually supporting your work, then there's less demand. So then the value will tank down. That's how the token price will go down. And against how it will be packed, that depends on how you structure and you design your token. So in the case of NFTs here, it's non-fungible, meaning every token is not the same. Like your even you do like say image 1 to image 2, image 1 will probably have one element in there that the color background is different than the image 2, even though it's similar, say background image of a mountain. So that is an example I'm giving. And based on that, NFTs usually also have a supply, like this is the supply that I want to release. And this is potential demand that can be used across to license, not to license, to buy this. And if you're smart, if you want to make your assets more valuable, like what Bored Apes or a few other NFTs done, they've embedded the IP rights in there. Meaning, as we know in IP rights today, I'm not a lawyer, but we were building something about on-chain IP. You can allow when someone buy your product, whether it can have rights to use, rights to commercialize, or even rights to transfer. So based on that, if you have rights to commercialize, then anyone who buys your NFT, they can use that character, they can use that image to commercialize that. And you, as a creator, will get that royalty percentage from this NFT. So it's about buying into royalties that's embedded within these assets. The likes of cryptocurrencies here are actually fungible, meaning it trades as a medium of exchange. So does it answer your question?
To a certain degree, yes. I can't help thinking like who's controlling the blockchain? Who's controlling, who makes
Okay,
the first
very
link in
good
the
question.
chain
Let me
and then
explain
builds it.
let
But
me
maybe
explain.
that's too deep. Oh, good.
No. Let's go this quickly here. All right, this is a simplification version, how blockchain works. Okay, it's more detailed, but I'm trying to I simplify this. So you are a user. So like I said, I want to send my money to probably you, Don, and I do a request, and it's probably on Ethereum, which is a blockchain. And Ethereum, so I send a block request. And in this block request, a transactions is created. Similar in today's world, I have an account, my bank account, I want to send it across to you. So I would have to know what's your account number, right? So in this
Mhm.
case, I would have to know what is your wallet number. And here, the block that is represented will broadcast to the nodes. So think about nodes here. Nodes are nodes. Why blockchain is decentralized, not like a bank. A bank is centralized, meaning within an account, we know the bank knows whether I'm transferring money to you because it's in a system. How blockchain works is that these nodes represent everyone in a community, people who have the nodes, they call it validator. So this validator have a mechanism where it's consensual. They say that they have set this consensus in the smart contract before that to say, okay, if there's a new request, this is the kind of rules and criteria that we can accept. If they meet all of this criteria, then consensuously we will say yes. So this is what happens. All the nodes validate and block transaction. So nodes they don't do it manually. All of these are automated. And then the block is added to the chain. And once it's added to the chain, the transactions say, okay, fine, this person is transferring 1 Ethereum to me. It gets verified, it gets executed, and then it's in your wallet. So all of this usually happen within seconds. And I'm just simplifying this because the difference between what is this and a bank is that these transactions doesn't have to go through intermediary. These transactions happen in real time. So that's why, because I work in the financial industry as well, even in banks, now people are using blockchain to do cross-border payment. Like, for instance, in Asia, people are using in between transfers, say, to Malaysia and Singapore or even to Thailand. People are using testing it on cross-border payment settlement so that it doesn't have to go through intermediaries like Swift, for instance. So yeah, this is how it works.
Great, thank you.
Wow, awesome. We've got a question from Diana.
Yes, Diana.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I've been paying attention and still trying to make sense of what an actual NFT is and trying really hard not to reference South Park and other types of fun that people have poked on it. But mostly here's the thing, in the past, I remember Justin Bieber coming out with he invested all this money on an NFT that he I don't know how he would be doing on it now. And I'm trying to make sense exactly what it really is. But what I'm gathering, okay, is that it's a type of brand and it's a unique token, let's say, that would give, from what you're telling me in layman's terms, it's a token that gives access to different like categories of things. So, like you mentioned, Steve Aoki, that DJ, like I guess whichever token you buy, but it also makes me think of Salesforce on how they create, the more the badges that you earn versus, with all the classes that you're taking, and it gives you sitting. I mean, I'm wondering if I'm anywhere close to what you've been explaining of
Yes.
what an NFT really is. So if I wanted to create, so if I had a brand and I had, say, a unique store or something or whatever, depending on the types of badges, digital badges you would purchase, I grant you access to different things. So it's almost like I'm seeing this a lot on TikTok. If you're this membership, you get these accesses to things. You get like a bigger discount. I'm
That's
trying
right.
to understand.
That's
I'm
right.
still I'm still trying to understand what an NFT really
So
can.
NFT is just think about it as a type of token. When I explained here before, it means here, where is it? Oh, it means here non-fungible tokens, right? There are different types of tokens here. There's fungible, where you see, Ethereum, Ripple, they actually transfer the tokens because it is value to value, similar. One Ethereum equals to one to Ethereum as well. So and two tokens of Ethereum are similar. Non-fungible is not similar because it represents a very unique asset in each of these. Utility tokens is kind of like is a type of token. Usually it's fungible. You provide a specific access rights, like you mentioned just now, Diana, onto the token. Whoever holds this token as an owner, either buyer, they own the specific rights, access, the rights to commercialize, or even just mostly access. And security tokens, this is where the banks comes in because they turn it to be like traditional capital market works. Like, you get dividend out of this payment, people tokenize say real estate, for instance, and every time at the end of the year, whoever have access to the tokens of this real estate, in Dubai, they're doing that a lot. Then you get payments, you get dividend out of it. So here, types of use cases. What I want to show is to answer your question, Diana. NFT is just the name of a token. So many use cases here are using the technology to enable the use cases. What you need to understand is technology in any way since 30 years ago is just an enabler. It opens up new economic model. Like when cloud computing started, then everything started to open with cloud technology. Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle and everything is a tech company just evolved from there. They're selling it B2B. So in the case of these, NFTs are anyone can create an NFT, but it goes back to having a sense of community is very important. Why is it important to have community? If you go back to the basic economy 101, supply, demand. You have a supply, you are the issuer. But if there's no demand, your value of the assets will not be there. It will go tank down. Why Bitcoin is now, I mean, it's gone down and up, but it has gone to a value that is the first cryptocurrency anyway, Bitcoin. Because now institutions are adopting Bitcoin now. And more countries are looking at, making it a strategic reserve, following the footstep of America. So more demand. So more and more people are speculating as well that this will go up, but it also depends if more people sell the token, then the supply will go less, right? And it's about that supply demand. If more people are selling it, less demand, and the supply goes too much, then the value will go less. But if more people are buying it, then the supply is still there, then the value of it is much more unique. So, so to answer your question, you can actually do like a loyalty points. You know, we have loyalty points in companies. Those are brand loyalties. To have a brand like say a collection of Bored Apes or even that is a brand by itself. And these brands are actually being used by targeting a different types of generation because they have a different culture. It's all about community sense. You may have seen them everywhere, every year, actually, Bored Apes, to answer your question as well, Glenn. Bored Apes, every year they have an Ape Fest. Ape Fest, they have it all around the world. This is all to the NFT holders. It's like a membership club. So in this membership club, it's like where they do deals. They all of them actually have different businesses. So you have a body, you are actually entitled, say, to meet all these top tier investors, top tier entrepreneurs, and you are able to make deals. You are part of that. It's kind of building that community where you can get access to these people. It's about networking. So and like for instance here, you can even tokenize music. So some of this platform are providing music tokenization where you as an artist, as an independent artist, you can also tokenize your music. People can buy the music, you can sell your rights as well on there. And you can get royalties comprehended to this when people buy. Real estate is also one example. In Middle East, people are starting to buy real estate through tokens. Like you can also buy real estate in most places now, in some places now, through cryptocurrency. You can also own a piece of, let's say, this real estate is cost $10 million. Not everyone can afford that. So they fractionalize the ownership. What it means is that they put the value of this house on a token, and people who buys the token will have access to this. And every time the price of these properties, when someone sells or someone rent it, you as a token holder, you will get return out of it. So it is that. It's a digital representation of this. And that is security token.
So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that an NFT is useful for people that have a service or are selling or are providing access to something that people want. So like you said, supply and demand. So if I sold something or if I provided anything, it would behoove me to create my own little tokens for people to then purchase in order to gain different tiers of access to things that I provide, in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. But your value must be high, which means
Um,
you can release how many supplies that you have. But if no one is helping to market your brand, no one knows you, for instance, then it's really hard to get the value of it goes up. That's why a sense of you have to build community first. Meaning when I say community means you do a lot of market, like say on TikTok. That's why people will always say, okay, how many followers you have? Are you an influencer? Things like that. I mean, it's going back to, if you think about now, influencer marketing wall. But it's a different ways of influencer marketing acts in this case. Yeah. Anyone else? Any question?
Glenn, yep, Glenn.
But it's perfect timing because when NFTs was all the rage, and I was listening to every podcast and trying to learn about Web3, and uh, I thought it was mostly smoke and mirrors. I still think that, to be honest with you. Like I think Bored Apes is a complete joke, and I think people are fools to buy it, but they're buying it for an investment. That's why I just think the art isn't very good. On the flip side of that, of being negative, the positive thing what I'm about to say is when I was watching all these groups start, to your point, having communities, where it got interesting for me was when the women's groups started to gather. There weren't many of them, but I thought this is going to blow up because it's women helping women, around beautiful artwork. It wasn't crappy artwork like the Bored Apes, in my opinion. And I thought, wow, they're going to explode because they're building a community faster than almost anyone else. And to that point, Amanda, the timing would be perfect for SHE is AI if it ever was, because this community is growing. I'm assuming it's going to grow it leaps and bounds and being optimistic. And having a community around that to showcase let's say AI art in this case, that become NFTs, it's a pretty good vehicle, as opposed to individuals trying to do it on their own. I think that's where I stopped listening after a while because like 99% of the people lost all their money. So the NFTs went absolutely nowhere from what I understood, except for people who were buying them like Jimmy Fallon and Bieber and all that stuff. But I think they were buying it because they got FOMO in a way. They were just watching other people buy a Bored Ape, not knowing why it has any value. But they thought, well, if they're getting it, I might as well get it. So I think that's what jumped, and that's why Bitcoin, went from not zero, from $10 to 90, thousand or whatever it is now, 80s and 90s. It'll probably go up and up and up. I'm just babbling around, but I do think that the timing is really perfect for this group. That you and Rachel and the rest of the community is starting. Because to your point, Anistina, right, that if it's community based, it's going to help all these women gather steam. This is a great group, as opposed to all the women individually attempting to do it. And sadly, I don't know that they would do well without the community behind them. So it's an interesting time. If it was ever going to happen, now's to be the time, I would think.
It's
For
really
sure.
cool, Glenn. I just Denise put some questions in the chat. Like, if we wanted to do it, like I'm just Googling the Bored Ape Yacht Club, can we do it as a collective or do it with the intention of for fun or for safety or a community initiative and not necessarily wanting the value to be high? Like if we don't care, but is there any point like putting our IP or contracts on the chain or doing an NFT to support our community or as a fun initiative or to be in the cutting edge of doing some cool stuff that not necessarily worried about the profit? Or is there any point, or is it fun, or do people do that, or be like not really relevant? That would be interesting. Or is it just if you've got something like value exchange, but if we didn't care about selling it for money or just for security, then what would that maybe look like? Like I know
Well,
you do IP contracts and all these sort of things on the chain. So
there's two things, right? I think
yeah,
everyone, you have to think about it as building a new business model in your business. That's why it is. And you must understand, like any technology, right? When people, all brands were actually experimented on NFTs, Glenn. So even for instance, I know luxury brands like LVMH, they use NFT to trace the code of the originality of their bags, their when they produce it, it's like a menu supply chain traceability. So if you tap, you don't say it's NFT. When you tap on the card, it says that check on the card saying, oh, okay, this number is actually from blah blah blah. And it can tell that this bag is being created or is being designed in Africa, I'm giving one example, or this skin is actually from so and so. So it tells the originality of it. So they try to use NFT as a way to trace it because it's just an enabling of technology. In the case of arts, I would still stay to answer your question, Amanda, and even everyone here on the call is always think about my advice here is number one, ask yourself, what do I want to get out of this? I have all this artwork, for instance, but if I just put it there and no one knows me, then no one's going to buy it even if, because if someone say, of course we know, if say Rafik Anadol put his, which he has NFTs by the way, if Rafik Anadol actually put his artwork on NFT, his artwork's actually worth a couple of Ethereum before, like it's, a couple of thousands, or 100,000s even, that I know, because he sells it as a digital art. But people know him, right? So here it goes to this question. If I want to do this, I must be more I must strategize this. I must know, number one, what type of collections that is needed by the public. What is the trend right now? And what is it that if I put this, and who can help to market this for me, meaning to sell it in a way that there will be demand. People wants to do, people wants to buy this NFT. And the third part is what access, what specialty that this NFTs or this artwork can give them if they hold access to it. So you are now, if you do this, basically you are the issuer. So you have to make sure, like any product development, what is the roadmap for this collection? Does it give a community access to, say, free art conference or free art, not free, like discounted ticket to Art Basel? So that means you need to partner with Art Basel. I'm giving one example. Or it gives you, a certain type of merchandise. So that's some example that you can think of, because it'd be more enticing for people to come in. But if you say, okay, I just want to put it as an image, but I want to have rights to commercialize assigned to this as well. Meaning whoever buys this usually will be business people, let's say in the services agency, then they are able to use your image with the rights to commercialize it to a specific story, to a specific movie. I'm giving one example. But this person will need to know how great your work is, how great this product is as well. So it goes into that. The value of the IP also relies on the demand side of how much market are attracted to this type of assets.
Cool. I think you've got our wheels spinning, and yeah, we're just looking at Art Basel and different ideas, and Christina says, yeah, we could partner with individuals to do like an AI art gallery for a cause on chain or NFTs or something like that for a good initiative. Would be really cool. Like, is that a use case? I'm still trying to wrap my head around what it is that you mean, Hanis, but
Done. I'm just reading the chat room finally now because I had to open another thing. Yeah, Art Basel in Hong Kong. So it's actually having end of the month. Um uh it's like Art Basel in Miami as well. So for Asia, they will have it in Hong Kong. But it's much more on fine arts. I'm giving one example. So the tickets here, etc., is they usually partner with collectors, art collectors. I haven't seen them actually do something in digital art. Hong Kong's supposed to organize a digital art fair in together with Art Basel, because my friend is the founder for that digital art fair, but they had to cancel it for this year. And I believe they are looking to do the digital art fair in another location. I'm not sure yet where. Yeah.
that's very cool. Any last questions? I'm just aware of time, guys. There's so much we can dive into here, and maybe we could take question follow up with Denise by email. But if there's anything to wrap up with, just as we're closing on the hour, but this is so interesting, Denise. I think there could be some really cool ideas. Um, yeah, Mohammed's like already built a crypto real estate website and launched the NFT series. It's very cool. Yeah, I think that's an amazing overview. Unless anyone has any last comments or questions, but there would be so much to explore here in more detail. Denise,
I'm
but
sure.
yeah, any closing thoughts or follow up how or Diana had another thought for us. Yeah.
I guess my the just in closing, I wonder, it's hard for me to envision an image to replace the actual dollar. So in other words, if we all had real estate and we all had some kind of, let's do all a timeshare and we each had property. You come to my house, I go to your house, and we did some kind of travel. I think we'd rather the dollar than like, here's my sticker, like, I think that's kind of where I'm trying to, I see the value if I'm purchasing a product. But to think that I could stay in Dubai by buying, by creating a AI sticker, NFT and for free that I could do in Midjourney or something. Like that's the part that I'm trying to connect the dot to.
Well, I think what you need to take away from today's call is that all of this is not replacing the dollar.
Okay.
Its digital asset is not replacing the value of dollar. A dollar, US dollar or Hong Kong dollar or even New Zealand dollar or Australian dollar is a currency that's being issued by the country, right? And this has been used as a way to trade dollar to dollar, say whether you sell barter trading in those days when it started, right? It's tangible assets. Why digital currency works right now? Because everything is in tangible now. It's liquid. AI comes in now. For instance, you don't know where this content from. You don't know where this image from. Suddenly why you see all these copyrights lawsuits are existing now. That's one example, right? All these authors are saying, hey, you're using my IP like without my permission. So the real estate that you mentioned, Diana, you have to think about it this way. Digital currency is not to replace the dollar, but is actually being used as a way to invest into the property. It represents when you put a specific assets, whether it's IP or music or something, you tokenize this on a blockchain. Whoever holds that token gives you a representation of the digital asset of this, meaning the property physical is still there. It's still in Dubai. But you are in the US or you are in New Zealand and I'm in Hong Kong. If I buy the token, I can have a representation of it. Meaning, if you think about how you buy a property, you need a deeds agreement, right? To say that this ownership belongs to so and so. So these deeds agreement are being transferred or transformed into a form of tokens. So these tokens would give access to this. So it opens up more accessibility and liquidity. So the value of it, that's why a lot of the traders in the financial world are using stable coins to trade, because it gives you much more 24/7 types of transfer between point to point, between funds to funds, and it creates more volume, trading volume. More trading volume means more liquidity. That's what it is. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. That's been amazing, Hanise. I think we'll wrap up there and yeah, I'm like don't like my mind is just trying to understand all this, and that's been a really cool overview and intro. And some of you like says completely understand what she's saying, and the rest of us are like, can we just make an NFT? What is this? But we really appreciate your time and you're helping us, and some of you guys are like joining us. You're laughing at me not understanding all of this in total detail, but it's been very enlightening. And I'm sure we're happy to take follow up, and you guys can connect with Denise online, check out her website, and follow up with her. But really, thank you for your time. Thanks, Denise, for coming on and sharing all this with us. And we feel, I'm sure, much enlightened more than we were an hour ago. Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so
It's been
much for having.
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep on exploring the world of AI, and you will also start to see a lot of the benefits, how the work that you've done can also be put it on a blockchain, because much and much more of this type of technology enabling that can help you to provide more access to the likes of the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right.
Thank
Thank you everyone
you.
for joining us. And we could talk all day about this, but that's been awesome that you could join us. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. Chat to us online, follow up with Anise with your questions. And yeah, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day, have a good evening. And we'll see you all later.